Okay. Okay. I have no idea whether this is working or not. I have no idea. Um, I guess I'm just going to stand by and see if anybody happens to come by. The two purposes of this. One is to record my trials and tribulations of using this MegaLoop antenna with my RSPdx SDR. And the other one is to get help from people that might stop by. So first question I have is anyone hearing me? Nope, not hurting me, hearing me. Hearing me. Okay. We've got 4 watchers. I really thank you for stopping by. I got my MegaLoop antenna set up, and I have it now connected to my RSPdx, and I'm going to do some testing. And I'm looking for inputs. I'm seeing now, which shows the chat and the screen of which I want you to see, which is my radio and other things. So right now I'm just looking for confirmation that I have any audio. I don't have a cam set up, a webcam set up, because I don't need it. Definitely don't want you to look at my ugly puss. So I've got 3 listeners. Well, I lost one. I got 3 listeners now, but I'm looking for a comment from one of those 3 listeners. Well, now I'm down to 1, so I guess this ain't working. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Hopefully this is recording something, and I'm going to do some testing, and I'll switch back and forth to the screen that shows the chat to see if anybody has any input. So here we go. I'm going to switch over to my radio. Okay, that should be showing my RSPdx using SDR Uno, and I've got connected 2 antennas. I've got my 31-foot vertical antenna on antenna A, and I've got the MegaLoop antenna B using the bias T power to power the preamplifier of the MegaLoop instead of having used their little power supply. So it seems to be working. I was down looking at long wave, and I found this beacon. I think it's a beacon. Let me turn it on. Unmute it here. Okay, I don't know if you're hearing that. And let me turn the volume up a little higher, and I'll stop talking. And you should hear a CWID. There it went again. There it went again. Now, let me turn the mute on. Now, my CW capabilities are zilch. Many years ago, I started studying CW to get a higher class amateur radio license, and my friend that was helping me died unexpectedly, and so I kind of lost interest. So, and now I can't copy code at all. I think the way these beacons work, I think they have a 2-letter code. And so what I did, and let me see if I can get to that page. Before I'll go back to this. Thanks, Joseph. Thanks for stopping by. And oh, 741, thank you, 741. Let me start over and tell you what I'm doing. I've got my RSPdx SDR from SDR Play. I've got that running. I've got two antennas hooked to it. I've got my 31-foot vertical antenna and my new MegaLoop antenna. And initially, what I was trying to do is see if I could hear any long-wave stations on that MegaLoop. I'm picking up a station which I believe is just a beacon. Now, let's go on. So, like I say, my Morse code capability is zilch. Whoops, I didn't mean to go there. So here, I look up a Morse code table. And what I could hear is, which could be wrong, I'm just terrible at that. I thought I heard dit, da, da, dit, a P, and then dit, dit, an I. And if I did also look up long wave beacons. This is a big, huge table, and I'm receiving it on about 360 kilohertz. And there is a PI, which coincidental, is down the street in St. Petersburg at the Kapok Tree Inn. Why they have a beacon, I don't know. But if I'm correct, and that's where I'm looking for an input, was that code that's being transmitted a PI? There's also a PN, and I'm not sure it's right on 360 because there's a bunch of them on 359, a couple on 361. So it could be any one of these. It's just coincidental that when I tried to decode it, I got PI, and that's in St. Petersburg, about 10 miles from me, maybe 15 miles. So let me go back to the radio. Let me go back to the chat first. Right here. Okay. So let me see if I can go back to the radio and let you hear that transmission. Here we go. Okay, I'll unmute it and I'll turn the volume way up and I'll lean close to it with my microphone because I don't think it's coming through directly. Okay, there it was. I'll let it continue for a few seconds more. Okay, I'll mute it, and now I'll go back and see if anybody copied that. Go back to the chat. Yeah, 741. Maybe what I need to do is take my lapel microphone off and hold it up to the speaker, and then maybe you can out. The noise level is quite high, so I'm going to try that again, 741. Here we go. Okay. Let me try some of these filters here and see if that'll help. Let me go back. I'll hold the microphone down by the speaker. Turn the mute off. Okay, I don't know if that helped. Let me put the mic back on my shirt and go back to the chat, wherever that is. Okay, 741. Could you decode what the ID was? Was it PI? I mean, if it indeed is PI, and that table showed that PI is just down the street from me at the Kapok Tree or Kapok Restaurant, I don't know which it is, then that would make sense why I'm getting it, even though it's extremely weak. But let me see if that table told me. And it could be, like I said, it could be 359, 360, 361. I don't know if I'm perfectly tuned onto it. So this is, I don't know what these numbers are. Oh, this is location. And that's, yeah, that's down the street from me. I think that's the wattage. Let me go to the top of the table. If that's only 25 watts, then that would explain power. It says power, but it doesn't say in what units. I'm guessing watts. So if that's only 25 watts, yeah, that would be pretty darn weak. Let's see. Power. Low power is 25. Yeah, okay. So that's probably 25 watts, which is nothing. So that would explain that if it is near me, why it's even weak near me. Get back down here to 360. 360. So I'm thinking it's this one right here, which is about, could be as far away as 15 miles and as close as 10 miles. In St. Petersburg, I'm north of there in Clearwater. Let me go back to the chat. Where am I? Doing this by myself is kind of difficult. Okay. Joseph hears it? Now, keep in mind, Joseph, as you may have seen on my table, if I'm sharing correctly, there's a bunch of these beacons on 360 kilohertz and above and below that. So you could be hearing one of those. The question is, are you hearing the same ID that I am? That's the question. Oh, 741 confirms that the code is PI. Wow, thanks. Thanks, Rob. So that means it is the station in St. Petersburg running at 25 watts. Now, why there's a beacon there, I have no idea. I mean, I believe it says K-Pop, and I think that's the K-Pop restaurant. So why they have a beacon, I don't know. But let me go back now to the radio. So that's all I'm seeing. You can see down here between 200 and 400 or 500 kilohertz. There's one little other pulse here, and that's it. And I'm using antenna B, which has the MegaLoop antenna, with using the SDR's bias T voltage to power the preamplifier. Now on A, let's see what happens. A is my 31-foot vertical antenna, and actually that's getting it too. Now let's boy, I got some other ones. Let's unmute here and see if I can still hear it. Yes. Now the other thing on my 31-foot vertical antenna, I could be receiving images from other frequencies. And that's why you see a lot of frequencies down here, where if I go to the MegaLoop, those all go away. So let's go back to the vertical and look at some of these other ones, like this one maybe. Let's unmute. And we'll zoom in to get this out of the way. I don't know what that is. We can change, let's go down a little bit, try to get it centered. We'll change to AM instead of lower sideband. Go back up a little bit. I don't hear anything. I see it, but I don't hear it. Let's try this one over here. Noise. Okay, those two are just noise. So the 31-foot vertical antenna is letting noise come in. And it's, so far, those two signals just appear to be just total noise, maybe coming from some of my electronics in my room. Let's zoom back out. See what other signals we have here. There's the 360. Now, I didn't bring it down. I had written down the long wave stations that Rob had heard. He did a video on that. He heard about, I don't know, 10 or 12 long wave stations, very weak. He's up in the Boston, Massachusetts area. So he's closer physically to Europe. And in most of the stations he heard were from Europe. I'm way down in Florida. Okay, let's see where we're at now on the chat. Again, I'm just doing this to record my experiments. That's all it is, it's just experimenting. Okay, we got Nick. Hi, Nick, how you doing? Connecticut. I always forget where you're at, Rob. Connecticut. But anyway, what my point was is Rob is up there in Connecticut, and he is closer physically to Europe, where there's a number of these long wave stations, and he was able to hear it. And he used I think a 40-meter fan dipole antenna. That's what he used when he did his testing. I am not. And Rob, what time of day were you receiving it? Of course, it's right now. It's 7:15 local Clearwater time, early morning. Yes, thanks, Rob. 40-meter fan dipole. So since his dipole was good for 80 meters, that makes was pretty long. So it might work okay for long wave. The two antennas I'm using right now are the 31-foot vertical from MFJ and my new MegaLoop antenna, which is up about 12 feet in the air. 741 also says it was late night, which is probably a much better time than early morning. So I'm an early person, so I usually hit the sack at about 9 o'clock at night. So I'm going to have to make a special effort to stay up later and see if I can catch one of those long wave broadcast stations. Anyway, where are we at? Let's go back to my radio. And this is the vertical, the 31-foot vertical that it's got a bunch of signals, but they all appear to be noise. Let me try this last one here. And let's unmute. And we'll zoom. Yep, this noise. So even though the 31-foot vertical antenna is receiving more signals, they all seem to be noise, except for that one that I had before. Now let's go back to the MegaLoop, and you'll see all those noise signals go away. And that's supposedly one of the characteristics of a loop antenna is it reduces background and ambient noise. So let's zoom back out. See if that, yep, see the 360 is still there. And I think with Rob's help, I've confirmed that it's probably beacon ID PI, which is only about 10 to 15 miles from me, and they're running 25 watts. Now there's a couple other ones here, very small. And let me, see, am I max zoom now? Yeah, max zoom. So let me go down. I forgot that darn list of stations. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Again, we're just experimenting here. And we're going to go to, we're going to search, let's go to a new page. And we're going to search for long wave stations. And I think there's a listing out there someplace. If I can find it. I found it yesterday. Is this it? I think this is it. Should be a table at the bottom. Yeah, here it is. So here are supposedly some long wave stations that are still broadcasting. And for instance, looking for a BBC. Here's BBC 4. I'm pretty sure they're still broadcasting. Not a lot of power. Is that watts or kilowatts? That is kilowatts. So that's quite a bit of power. So where'd it go? I lost it. There's not too many that this says they're still active. This is a long list, but these are inactive. So I only got a few choices. And some of these are the ones that Rob heard. What happened to that BBC? Right here. 198. Let's try 198 for grins. Again, it's probably not a good time of day for that. Okay, where'd my radio go? And I said 198. Okay, let's go down to 198. Oh, it won't let me go down that high. Okay, here we go. 198. Okay, there's 198 and there's absolutely nothing there. This, I believe, is a fault signal caused by the radio. The other thing is, which mode should I be in? IF mode. It's right now in low or LIF. I think that's the right mode. Now let's look at this one right here. Oh, that's the 360. Okay. Let's try. Well, now above 600 is going to be medium wave, and so those are going to be local stations. So I don't want to go above 600. So I think that's about it. I think that's all I'm going to get. I was using this memory database for the very low frequency time signals. And that's where I started at 60 hertz. And I think it'll let me go there because I've selected something else. Let me see if I can. There we go. There's 60. Now, look at I'm on. Okay, it's switched because in this memory bank, the antenna that is selected in the memory bank is A. Then it's switched to the A antenna, and I'm getting all this noise. So let's switch back to B. Goes away, and we don't see anything except the 360 and these medium wave stations. So unless somebody has any suggestions, I'm going to give up this morning. It's already 7:20. I did prove that I do have things working as far as I moved from the RSP Duo to the RSPdx, and I've got the two antennas, the 31-foot vertical on A and the MegaLoop on B, using the radio's bias T output to power the preamplifier up there on the pole. So let me go back to the chat and then we'll wrap this up. Okay, where is the chat? Okay, there's the chat. The website to show the beacon list. Okay, now let me find it right here. This is, let me go to the top. Where'd the scroll bar go? Way up here. This is DXINFOCENTRE.com. And it's marked as unsecure. So that's the website this is on. I did a search on long wave radio beacons, and this was I think the first results from the search. I went there, got a lot of information. And let me see something. Was there any significance of the bold? says, beacons are being decommissioned at such a rapid pace that many listed here may have already be off the air. By 2026, most of these beacons will be gone. That's interesting. I was trying to see if it says anything about why some of them are in bold and some of them aren't. Don't see anything. No. But I'm assuming those in bold have been confirmed recently. Let's go down to my 360. I don't think it's in bold. There's a lot of them. $360. No. But there again, according to this, it's only putting out 25 watts, if I read that correctly. Well, that's about it. Let me go back to the chat one more time. Yeah, Rob, it is a very long list of beacons. And unfortunately, it made that statement, but that a lot of these beacons are going away. It's interesting, though, that if that indeed is the beacon from KPOC, I'm not sure why it's there, because that is there's a restaurant called the KPOC Tree in St. Petersburg, which has a garden, big garden outside the restaurant. So why they would have a beacon, I don't know. So that's it. Any other comments? I'm going to wrap this up and turn the wall air conditioner on because it's kind of hot in my workshop right now. And I thank everybody that stopped by. If you watch this after the fact and you have any suggestions or comments, I welcome them. If you see anything dumb that I did, like I had the wrong filter, wrong mode, please let me know. And with that, I'm going to end the broadcast and have a great day. Bye-bye.